feed the world in 2050, then we have to increase agricultural yields around the world by 70%. The population is expected to grow by right around 35% by 2050, making the total population of about 9.1 billion people. So looking at agricultural yields, looking at things like deepening the river, anything to increase efficiencies. And I will apologize because I know there's a lot of lock and dam issues above St. Louis. But we have to maximize the system. We have to repair the locks and dams. We have to work on all of the above. So I tried to go through the reasons to deepen the river. I talked a lot about the extra cargo handling capacity. You know, when we have a draft restriction, the best estimate we have is for every foot we lose a draft, it's $1 million of cargo left behind. So if we look in the reverse, if we're able to go that extra 3 feet or 5 feet, depending if you're above mile 180, you're looking at the ability to increase either about $3 million of cargo per vessel or $5 million of cargo per vessel. Of course, we don't maximize all the drafts. That depends on a lot of factors. But looking at these numbers and trying to get the river to the 50 feet. One of the old numbers that I use a lot is one you've probably seen in formal economics used that said deepening the river to 50 feet offers about a 35-cent per bushel cost savings. Of course, that was the market at the time. That's kind of old. I will tell you that I've spoken to Scott Sigmund and some other folks about trying to work in developing new and accurate information related to commodities and to those changes. As I said, you're the guinea pigs. This is my first run. You know, 20% of the nation's waterborne commerce moves out of the Mississippi River. There's a lot of facts here in the Port of New Orleans, $37 billion impact, and that outside of the Port of New Orleans and other areas of Louisiana and across the basin. That one port is responsible for another 380,000 jobs. This is an article, I use this map a lot. I know it makes sense here, the agricultural zone, so that 139 hectares across the basin, that's the agricultural zone. You'll notice Mississippi River Basin, where we are today, you're in the only major agricultural zone in the world connected to a major navigable river. This article from Stratford is a great one to read called The Inevitable Empire. The one thing that I can never forget about it, though, is that it says Americans aren't great because of who they are, but because of where they are. And I sure would like to prove them wrong, but sometimes you gotta wonder. And this kind of goes with the Stratford report, The Inevitable Empire, and it was basically based on the Louisiana Purchase and looking to secure, in many ways after the American Revolution, the Mississippi River Basin was basically the West Coast, because that was like outer space at thinking in that time. So they knew they could repel an attack on the East Coast, and they wanted to secure the border of the country. And that's much the reason of the purchase of Louisiana Purchase. I can't help it, I used to be a coach. I can't tell you what all the numbers 1 through 5 say, but I always know number 1 is dominate, number 2 is eliminate. And that's exactly what we're always talking about. So, I don't know what an average year on the Mississippi River is. Last year I mentioned was a really bad year. A good friend from the Corps who's trying to retire and is still hanging on because they need him told me last January, we had a conversation. I was like, man, usually in January, my life is not miserable. My life is miserable right now. I got Sean, my 35-year career. This is the worst January I ever had. I was like, I'm with you. This January's been a little different. We don't have draft restrictions. We really hadn't had any dredging challenges so far this year. It's great to have a break. And I like to use these 2 slides. So Memphis, high river year, we had to, in 2011, we had to open the Bonnet Spillway. 2012, draft restrictions. So that's a 60-foot difference in water level. So I don't know what an average year is. I know on average we got all kind of problems on navigation, trying to maintain the channel, keep things going. This is to remember Louisiana is a very vulnerable area, that delta, that ship channel. We work to try to protect it. That channel has about a $400 billion impact on the nation's economy, and we need to work on maintaining and protecting the lower river. I'll go through these slides really quick. I like terms, so the harbor maintenance tax, my term in Congress was taxation without channelization. My term for beneficially using material is sediment recycling. And I just like when I hear those terms again, because sometimes you just need to strike a nerve so somebody remembers it. So we started using material beneficially. You see all that new mud piled up? So I can't get the laser pointer to really work, but if you look at the delta, the channel going out to the right, that's Southwest Pass. So that spot where it joins the upper river, that's the head of passes. So everything below that is a negative river mile, everything above that is a positive river mile. But you can see this material being pumped over here from the river channel. That's our sediment recycling. We're trying to do more and more of it. There's a lot of looks at properly using the waterway, trying to decrease runoff, all those kind of things. I'm not going to talk to you about Hurricane Katrina, but we've seen hurricanes and we know that we're very vulnerable. So all this is done within the federal budget to increase the protection around the channel. Almost 7,000 acres since 2009. I can show a lot of photos that go through and show what that looks like on a map, but we're working to try to protect that lower river. I'll tell you about this picture. This is the Corps hopper dredge Wheeler. So we took a member of the Trump transition team out on that hopper dredge. The Corps did a really great job at the last minute. I'll say it as nice as I can. I was taking one person to ride a ship. I had met him, I knew he could climb a Jacob's ladder. When I met him, the two people he was with, including one of them's wife, said, I can't wait to ride that ship. And my boss looked at me like, who in the hell are you taking out on a ship? And I was like, well, I don't know, I'm working. Well, thankfully the Corps hopper dredge Wheeler was down there, and the crew boat raises up to the deck on davits. So I was able to take them out on that. And Colonel Clancy from New Orleans District came down, met them. I think it was an eye-opening experience. Why that's important is there's been a lot of talk about the Trump infrastructure, and we'd like to see those investments and things start to move and come out. On one of the lists, the deepening of the river was number 7. That's my favorite list. We were in the top 10. It may not be the final list. It may not be a list that happens, but that was the highest ranking for deepening the river. This presentation was done, and they won at the 10th Global Infrastructure, the Deepening of the River project. As I said, one proposal was that deepening would create 17,000 new jobs. So it won the Job Creation Project of the Year just a couple of months ago when this conference was in Montreal. And with that, I hope I covered a lot of material. I have to give you the stories about the photos. So I'm a single dad. That's my son at the helm of the Wheeler when he was 8 years old. That was a Sunday or Monday morning. I'm waking him up to go back to 2nd grade, and he told me, Dad, I don't have to go back to school. I want to be a captain on the Wheeler. Okay, so I probably did mention that I was a rugby player, but I was a coach and a rugby player, and I basically snatched him out of bed, told him to get his ass ready, we were going to school. And he's been going back every day since. The captain on the Wheeler is a good friend of ours, and he told him when he was 8 years old that to be the captain, he had to get in that chair. So when he went back a couple of years later, the first thing he did was walk in, jump up in the chair, and kick his feet back. And on the top, that's what a cutterhead dredge looks like. The cutterhead, that's the E.W. Ellison, Weeks Marine, when she was working at the hop